So that brings us to the big question. Has anyone measured the effectiveness of removing unwanted matter in carpeting? We want to show you the science, because carpeting, even apparently some clean carpeting, does host a wide variety of unwanted matter. And obviously, if HydroMaster is hosting this webinar, you would expect that the finding is that truck-mounted hot water extraction is a superior way to clean these floors when it comes to cleaning for health. But I don't want you to take my word for it, or even Sean's word for it. I want you to know that we're ready to show you some proof, okay? Now, in order for me to do that, the first thing I have to do is make sure that you are ready, okay, for what might come.
Do you have any other questions for me, Counselor? You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth.
There you go. Are you ready? Because we're about to go into it. Can you handle the truth? It reminds me of a conversation I was having at a meeting one time discussing the IICRC carpet cleaning standard, where we were talking about the use of heat in cleaning. And a very respected colleague of mine made the comment to this group of people that there were no studies out there. There were no scientific studies that showed that hot water reduced biological contamination in carpeting. And so immediately in the room, several people brought up, this is a long time ago, brought up Dr. Berry's early studies. And their response was, well, I mean, proof besides that proof. Boy, if that doesn't describe to us where we are in America right now in trying to find truth, because when somebody does present us with something, we say, well, that's not the truth I was looking for, so give me some other truth. All right, so let's talk about that then. Has anyone ever measured the effectiveness of removing unwanted matter in carpeting and other floors? Well, we're going to take you through, and don't worry, we're not going to read all of these to you. We're going to take you through the studies. The Denver study was in 1991. That was the original study done by Dr. Berry and the EPA and Research Triangle Institute. I was actually involved in that study and helped with some of the sites. Then there was the Frank Porter Graham Child Development Center study in 1994. In 1999, Air Quality Sciences, a group that has nothing to do with the EPA or Dr. Berry, did a study on carpet cleaning. And then in 2001, Dr. Berry and his team came back and did a study called the Charles Young School Study in 2001. Also, Hydrolabs, who many of you that do water damage are familiar with, did a study along with the Carpet and Rug Institute on mold growth related to this that shows us some things. And then they did a comparison in 2002 of carpet versus hard surface floors and how the contamination levels were in that. Then they also did a study in the Anderson Creek School Study. And then finally, the one that's probably the most recent is the AirMed Health Study, which was done in 2014, which I'm going to tell you more about in just a minute. And then Dr. Berry and Jeff Bishop, who many of you know, did a great summary of all of these different researches. If you don't want to read lots of scientific manuals, I'll provide you with their link to their study in just a minute. All right, what did the Denver study show? Well, this was in 1991. This is from the summary. The Denver study strongly suggests that professional carpet cleaning with the wet extraction method is the most effective process in reducing contaminant levels of biopollutants and particles. The before and during cleaning measurements of air pollutants showed that the highest concentrations of airborne pollutants were associated with environments that were moderately to heavily soiled, cleaned infrequently, and were cleaned with methods that had excessive chemical or particle residue. In other words, the Denver study did look at 5 different cleaning methods. The central finding in the Denver research suggests that an effective cleaning program is critical to improving or maintaining indoor air quality, even though the focus of the study was limited to carpet cleaning. All right, here's some charts and graphs from that study. If you love looking at this kind of stuff, at the end of our presentation, I'm going to give you a way to get your hands on all these studies if you want to look through them, because we don't have time to talk about or even educate about what some of these numbers mean. Just look for reductions. That's what you want, reductions in things that aren't good. All right, the Frank Porter Graham study demonstrated that both indoor and ambient environmental pollution are significantly controlled through an effectively managed indoor cleaning program. In the FPG study, the building was nearly 70% carpeted. The study reinforces a key finding of the 91 Denver study, that carpeted environments that are frequently vacuumed and cleaned and applying the maximum extraction and minimum residue principle are not expected to be associated with indoor air problems. There's some of the reductions. You can see a lot of the minuses there that they found in that study. All right, the 1999 Air Quality Sciences study. In this study, poorly maintained carpet from a high humidity, high temperature environment was cleaned and placed into a normal environment with humidity less than 65%. No mold regrowth was noted. After cleaning, test results from the previously contaminated carpet were comparable to those of a clean control carpet in terms of biocontaminants in the carpet and airborne particles. This was a chamber study. For lack of a time to explain to exactly what that means, it's testing that's done in environmental chambers. And essentially what they were wanting to show is that could you take a carpet that was showing high levels of contaminants in the chamber, take it out, clean it effectively with a hot water extraction system, let it dry, and then put it back in? Was the contaminant level still measurable in that chamber? And the conclusion was that the cleaning process worked. And here's a whole bunch of summaries of their findings. In the Charles Young School study, the maintenance of a high-activity center city school emphasized effective vacuuming and scheduled extraction cleaning of all parts of the building, including carpet. This cleaning program was found using environmental measures to be highly effective in keeping the school building healthy. An investigation found there were no unsanitary conditions or health complaints related to the building in any way. There were no indications of IAQ problems or student or teacher health response to allergens. Data collected in the most health-sensitive portions of the building found that indoor pollution levels tended to be higher over hard surfaces than over carpet. Wish we had time to expand upon that a little bit, but we don't today. All right, so that's the Charles Young study. What did Hydrolabs find out? Well, the main conclusion of this research with respect to effective carpet cleaning is that the hot water extraction method of cleaning is highly effective in reducing the likelihood of mold growth, and that clean carpet does not support mold growth even at prolonged and elevated temperature and humidity levels. All right. So there's all the different studies, but the one that I really want to focus on is AirMed. AirMed was done in 2014, and what they were measuring for was the reduction of allergens in a carpet and other soft furnishings. Their results you can see on the chart. Post hot water extraction cleaning, surface levels of these allergens were reduced by 83%, 96%, and 90%. Conclusions: incorporation of a hot water extraction cleaning procedure in a home allergen avoidance study at yet to be determined intervals significantly reduces the levels of biocontaminants to which occupants are exposed. All right, so there are all your studies. So what it really comes down to, let's kind of conclude where we've been and where we want to go in the time that we have remaining. The first thing we talked about was the rise in popularity of low moisture cleaning and why that is occurring and will continue to occur in some environments. The second thing we take a look at is what kind of contaminants can we find on what is perceived to be a floor or carpet that is clean by appearance. The third part of our study today was, is there scientific measurements that demonstrate that using high performance hot water extraction is the best way to eliminate these contaminants? So now we kind of put this back in your lap. As a carpet cleaner, as a person who goes into people's homes and businesses every day, if you were to clean a carpet or a hard surface floor that you know has been exposed to unwanted substances with a cleaning method that does not use heat and physically extract the soil and other unwanted matter, are you creating a false narrative that the floor is really clean? Now, what I want you to do is think about that for a minute, because what it really comes down to is, what are the customer's expectations? We know they want it to look better, but how much of their, it's kind of like people asking me about, how come sometimes people ask me about the chemicals I'm using and other people don't? And my answer is always this: if I'm hiring a professional that's trained and certified, I'm operating on an assumption they're not bringing dangerous chemicals into my home. Some people don't operate that way. So they're going to ask me. But if you came to my house and I hired you and you're a professional and you're trained and certified, I'm kind of concluding that you're not bringing any dangerous chemicals in. Can people lead to that same conclusion with the fact that the carpet is clean, therefore it's safer? Sean, thoughts?
You know, the consumer definitely is asking for, I think green comes out of their mind a lot, but that lack of toxicity, that, and I feel the same way about, you know, that comment that if a customer is calling a professional, they should be expecting that the professional is not going to use toxic nuclear powered products and chemistries that would be leaving residue. But, you know, oftentimes we're just doing what we think makes the most sense. We misuse the products as cleaning technicians that don't read the labels and maybe don't do things in the way that the products are designed for, and it can leave residues behind because they weren't actually cleaned away from the surface the way the products were designed. So I think understanding the use of our products is definitely a misunderstood, in that from disinfecting to understanding what it's intended for cleaning surfaces for a certain level. And it all comes down to what is clean and what is the customer, like you narrowed in on, what is their perception of clean and what is their desire of clean? Are they educated to make anything past the basics of it looks better, or desire based on health concern, environmental conditions they were conditioned to based on restoration involvement? There's all sorts of things that are conceived or remain attached to that. Yet there are also people that survive living in very unclean environments, and they develop their own immunities in hoarder environments and others that we're not even to the floor yet. But we definitely need, as an industry, to understand what is clean better, and that we're doing better when the client needs it. Hot water extraction by far is our choice of ways to thoroughly remove the highest volume of soil the most effectively with the least amount of chemistry, because even basic science tells us we can achieve a better result with more heat if we balance that properly with the
Well,
clean.
if you remember back in the 90s, it was all about low residue or no residue cleaning, and somewhere that went by the wayside. And I think we've got to revisit that question. You know, my friend, the PhD My friend, the PhD microbiologist asked me, Sean, he said, what, if you're going to talk about this, what do you hope to accomplish? And I said, well, obviously it's a difficult study. And obviously if cleaning were health were an easy marketing sell, which we're going to talk about in a minute, it would have already been done. I said, but if I can just get people to quit using low moisture cleaning on a house full of dog poop, that's a start.
There you go.
So
That's
there,
a rumor.
you know, and that's exactly. Any other thoughts, Sean?
No, thanks again for having me. You're doing a great job, and I really appreciate keeping this top level awareness of what is clean and how to get your accomplished goals done better, faster, and the HydroMaster's doing a great job. Thank you.
Thanks, Sean. I appreciate your help.